got you off, right? At the same time, if you just need to go online and do some things, right, that you can't do on the phone, I have a computer too. If I say we can meet up somewhere, so say you can go online like right then and there. Okay, so I just want to share that with you. So you get my number and everything for y'all leave. I'm leaving at 7:30. And let everybody knows what I'm saying. That's what you're trying to do. You need to go online, because social services, jobs, everything now is online. Okay, so right now I have the computer, I have the time during the day. If I'm saying that we can get together and y'all can go online if y'all want to meet up with me.
My name's Darren. I'm kind of like the quiet one, so I'm better in the group. I do talk though. But I take care. I mean, I like to take care of me. I like to do a lot of thinking and things like that though. But I've been involved since the public safety compact and then all that got cut. Me and Twan and everybody, I mean, come together, man, able to create hope, trying to keep some of that process going along. Because I mean, me myself, I probably started getting locked up when I was like 11 or 12. And I ain't see a whole year until the 26th of this month will be 5 years. But from 11 to 12, I never seen a whole year. But I mean, I had to be 12 and a half years before I seen this 5 years. And I mean, with all these guys in the program and things like that, ain't no telling where I probably would have been. And I mean, that's just having the support that we got here, and that's why I say it's like a family. It's like, there's been plenty of nights me and Twan been out late night, 2 o'clock in the morning, walking and talking, you know what I mean, dealing with our situations and things like that, though. I mean, that's the things, like, having a real head, though, and getting, like, real supportive answers sometimes. So, I mean, you have a lot of people that hear stuff, and either they give you something negative, or they just letting you talk, you know what I'm saying? They really, like, giving you no real visions of what you want to do with yourself. One thing I said about the group is, like, with any group, just give it time, though. I mean, like a young brother say, like, you don't know right now, but I mean, just give yourself time to find out what it is that you might want to do. You know what I mean? Finding something to grasp onto to give yourself some type of drive and motivation. I mean, it ain't just going to pop up to you one day. You're still young, but I mean, you bet it's a good thing you're trying to do something now and later on. You know what I'm saying? When I was that age, I wish I would have grasped on some things that I had the opportunity to, but you know, I kept pushing it. You know what I'm saying? Ended up in prison for all those years.
Man, big brother, I don't trust people that sound like Public City Compact gave me the vision, and when it ended, it was the process to keep it going, you know, and me, Mr. Clarence, we all sat down, figured out everybody was like, come join with them, live with them. During the process, Darius was like, why let them pay them and control what we need to do? And right then and there, I realized it was a man, and then like, if us together, you know, just been moving, we've been helping guys, you know what I'm saying? It's like, the small number you see here is a projected number that shows up, but it's over 100 that has been helped people. You know, certain bills and legislation got passed with the agency of us like being on it. You know, just give it time, man, because like we had to give it time at the like certain time and coming home, but you know, out of time, everything is through. You know, when the crazy part is, you said you're 19, right?
Yes, sir.
At 16, I caught my first bit. At 19, I was back in prison with 20 years, and my daughter was born. You know, so like, I'm gonna hold on to y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want me to hold on to y'all, I'm gonna hold on to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you see this out there, you see systematically what they opposing for y'all. You know what I'm saying? And the hit is on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Really like get y'all to understand, you know, that everything that's initially set up and the surroundings for y'all to develop is a measured economy system for others to make out off of. and the condition is that you, your family, and everybody else lose, and the community and the generation stay stagnant, you know? So our position is to make sure you make it through so that your generation can grow economically and develop for itself. And you know, like basically, who knows? Y'all came in the top. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many y'all, you know, and basically how many of all of us in due time can bring, because a lot of effects of being watched, you know, and it takes a process for everybody to be ready and hold on. You know, all I ask, man, just give it a grace period, you know what I'm saying? And figuring out what it is you want to do. You want to talk about some goals, you know what I'm saying? You want to talk about a plan, you know, and you know, set some things up for y'all, you know what I mean? And I guarantee you, if you go in and apply yourself, 90 days after, it's going to be well worth it. I guarantee you that. You know what I'm saying? Always gotta be at it. Might want to go kick the door in, you know what I'm saying? You sleep good at night, you abuse your child, you know what I'm saying? You can watch her grow up, watch her go to school, everything, you know what I'm saying? And follow the same instruction plan, you can watch her graduate. You know what I'm saying? That's a beautiful thing, you know? So like that, man. So like that, I'm getting to this. But that's what H.O.P.E is, man. So, you know, and plus, y'all had a benefit. I really want y'all to stick around, man, so y'all can get this, because y'all at the age bracket. I want both of y'all, like, whenever this lift and it's time to go to night, let's put y'all to be there, bro. I do. So that we can really show effectively, and y'all have enough information to stand on. You know what I'm saying? But I know actually ain't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? No, actually ain't for everybody, you know what I mean? But there will be something that will expose y'all that'll make others be like, wow, maybe I should go try that. So basically, come on, CJ. You're in the hot seat. Introduce yourself real quick.
My name Carlos, aka CJ.
So basically, man, last week we was talking about hope, how it empowers the language, community, things of that nature, right? So this week I'm gonna really talk about identifying the class systems, you know, and looking at the structural way the systems negates us, makes us less than, and then we adjust to feeling less than, and then we start classifying our own self, you know, and living with these titles and terms, and living up to the full modality of them, but they are investments and processes that everyone else benefits. We lose and we continue to start over, but yet, as a people, we harm each other, we wind up bullying each other, we wind up robbing each other, we wind up so pained up that we'll do anything but identify and stand up to identify who we really are. We'll take a lot of titles, you know, and things of that nature, and look up to them. And one of the things that as classism does is it gives you a whole lot of things to like think about, but in the process of thinking about it, how does it identify you with the concept of what it really is? So I was like, we must think about why we felons ask poverty or unemployed, and the result to us, right? How much harm has it really promoted? You know, how much harm as being a convicted felon have I like stood on to generate data to get under it and promote it as a way of life that some youngins that's in the street, like, ain't see nothing else but that, and that's what they chose to be. And now, I had to look back and put myself back in that and be like, there wasn't no one there to save me, so how was it that I could save him? You know, when we look around about a rotated circle, you know, they say 1 out of 4 people return to prison, right? I say 7 out of 8. Because out of 10 dudes that I know, each day I can go in different blocks, and out of 10 dudes, and I can identify with 7 dudes that may get locked up that day or have been locked up or have been pressured by the police in some type of way. You know, you talk about like 100,000 people homeless, 22,000 in the state of Maryland locked up. You got 400 murders, or they say 300 murders and 400 something shooters. You know, so like we talk about a balance of like close to like 1,000 that's being targeted by gun violence. You know, you talking about a whole generation that feels the identity to cope in society is to like pop perks and medication or some type of formality. You know, looking at the way COVID like took off, that shootings wasn't the main process no more. You seen more overdoses happen, and people like caught up on subways high, caught in the middle of the street high. You know, so the process of generating their overall look, and from like January to like June, Baltimore had over 2,000 overdoses off of fentanyl. You know, so that like basically doubled. Well, 3 going to 21, 7 times. You know, so if it's 300 murders, it's 2,000. You know what I'm saying? We basically like double, triple that against the gun violence. You know, so we're losing bodies on both sides. Then with suppression of how like COVID was developed, where it was pushed at, who it was affected by, you know, and one of the things that like crushed me, and Josh, we had talked about this in like first half, about what organizations was gonna be out to like be active and be a part in it to take care of communities. You know, and people were like, I ain't going on, I ain't doing this, I ain't doing it, and you know, people became unemployed, you know, people lost jobs, scams started happening, you know, robberies had started happening. There was a whole lot of things trickled off that they didn't really talk about. But because like we in a poverty state and living in the finest of it, we seen harm. You know, and like I congratulate all of y'all, right? Because like y'all moved through it, didn't get arrested, didn't get caught up in nothing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them stayed working, a lot of them stayed safe, came up, helped out, giving out food, things of that nature. And the thing is, like, how are we really though looking at the direction that we're going in?
I know what you were saying, right? About the shootings, the death and all that, right? And then the overdose. So somebody committed a crime and they don't get locked up, right? Let's say somebody kills somebody. I don't know how to put it to anybody, so I'm going off, you know, the dome. They don't know how to cope, or they don't know how, they probably can't get up their head. So they resort perks, the price of perks is ridiculous. So a youngin look at it like, damn, I'm paying 30 to get high. Well, I'm gonna pay 6. What are they gonna go for 6? Keep extra money in their pocket? It's just a service. Let's just keep adding over and over and over again.
So what
Like you
happened?
said, how to set, like you said 7 out of 8. And then when you go to jail, family broken up, kid don't have no father, just keep going over.
And it's like, you know, we all like have compulsive behaviors in certain ways. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times, it don't even have to be that deep of someone getting shot or murdered. It can be the simple of like, in a relationship, the girl say, I'm done. It can be the simplest of going in the store, trying to pack of Newport, you got $8, they say $8.50.
I won't let you go.
You know, and taking in that and not knowing how to breathe, and like I don't have control, we get overwhelmed. I gotta have, and we start repetitiously up in our mind racing. And well, he got money, he got this, he got that, he got that. And in the process, you go to somebody. Now I got 2 choices. I go to Darius and say, yo, I need that. He's like, I ain't got bread on. I go to him. He bang down. He, you know what I mean, man, take this, don't worry about it. Say, I got the cigarettes. So all this going on, and simply the individual, like, well, maybe this will negate that feeling. It's all about being numb, not wanting to feel something. And repulsively, as things keep happening and growing, you don't ever want to confront the problem.
That's the cheap way. I mean, not the cheap way, but that's the wrong way. That's how I used to think.
You know what I'm saying? And it goes with like a lot of things. Marijuana, drinking, sex, going to strip clubs. It's a whole lot of stuff. It's all about your behaviors. It's just like when you wake up in the morning, you know what I'm saying? You have a constant thing that you do every morning before you leave the house, become habit form. So you gotta like be careful because a lot of this stuff it becomes habit form, and because we don't know how to be ourselves, you wind up joining the clique.
You know what's crazy? Remember, I think 2 weeks ago, when you said how somebody put all that time in going in outside, but you put that same time in to live the job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's crazy? I had that mindset, and I got a job on that mindset.
Where at? Amazon.
Where at?
No, Walmart.
Oh, yeah, Walmart.
The thing is, I wasn't applying for Walmart.
No, he wasn't.
The manager was on our lunch break. She said, I've seen you 4 times this week up here. She said, why you put an application up there? So you know, I ain't lied to her. Straight to her, it's Walmart. I got 5. She said, well, I said, because I kept calling out because I had a babysit my kid. Straight took me, I went in Walmart with her. She ran my name, said, the year been up. So orientation next year.
I told you, like, you start doing things, you know what I mean, you always being watched what you do.
You said that.
But the investment that you put in yourself, you gotta value yourself. If you ain't hungry to value yourself, it be some type of work. Why I'm investing? Why should Shane invest in you? You ain't investing in yourself.
What you said about the cycles, I think that you know, as someone, I'm from here. My biological parents are deceased. My adopted parents, for the most part, my mom died. My dad is still living, but barely. And so I've had really traumatic experiences in Baltimore, seeing people murdered, seeing all sorts of shit. And every day, as someone who pursues their passion, I'm an artist by choice. This is what I want to do. I went to public school. I played ball. I did all of the things that most of us 90 kids really have done. But every day I think about, you know, like, why me? And I don't question why me, but I ask myself, like, how did you, coming from the circumstances which you come from, get to a place of now pursuing your passion and being of service to black people, people in your city? And I realized a couple of things. What you said about cycles and that this person wants this thing and want that thing, and I realized that as a black person, we have very rich DNA, and we are kings and queens, and we come from a very, very rich history. And granted, as African Americans, our history started here, but it had existed. Our DNA, our bloodline, our skin, our history has already existed way before. And so I realized that with all of that in mind, we can no longer operate from a place of material, wanting material things like money and these different things, these different possessions really can fool us because we can try to get it so much and it can really fuck us over. And I know that it's hard to say because we need money to survive and we need money to eat and live and buy our daughters the things that they want and buy our sons and our brothers the things that they want. But I think that there has to be, as people, especially black people, there has to be a higher existence beyond the material things. And so I know why, because I see it, I have peers, I've outlived most of the people I went to school with. And so I understand why we want these things. I mean, it's everywhere. It's in the music. It's in our neighborhoods. It's this, it's that. We see, like, white people work for, literally have everything and not have a fucking sprinkle of talent or a sprinkle of fucking thought. You know, so I understand why we want these things, and I get it. However, something in us, I don't know what it is. It could be art. It could be, for me, it was art. It could be books. It could be storytelling. It could be groups like this. It could be talking to one another. But something has to click in us so we operate on a more spiritual level and attract the things that we want. Because if you lost your job, right, because you had to babysit your kids, that's some real shit. Like, that's some real shit that you're going through. However, something in you wanted to attract that job. Something in you wanted to attract some sort of income so you can have all of the things that you want, so you can survive. And so I feel like, you know, like, it's very easy to get caught up in the bullshit. And as black people who have had shit laid out for us for our demise, we gotta vibe and weave through the bullshit. And we also hurt each other. And so I feel like, you know, I want to encourage everybody to just tap the fuck into who you are. You know, like people like Jay-Z, people like, I mean, Beyonce, whomever, they're just like us. They have the same 24 hours. They, you know, they have different circumstances, sure. You know, projects and house full of the mom and the dad and the sister, blah, blah, blah. However, like, these people are not unique. And their aspirations and their plans are not unique. We just have to be able to have our own aspirations, and we have to have our own plan, you know? And so, like, I know a lot of people get caught up in, like, oh, those people are special, or this, we're all special. We all have rich DNA. We all have what it takes to be whatever we want to be, regardless of what circumstances we come from. And again, it is hard because you gotta vibe and weave through the bullshit. I can never, you know, ever talk about how hard it is for a black man. I know, I see it, I get it, but it's even harder for black women. And so I think that there has, as individuals, we have to take some sort of accountability to what we want to do in life and change our behavior and turn our behavior into healthier habits so we can get the things that we want. And it starts with waking up. You wake up and you fucking, I don't know, eat some cabbage juice and some celery juice. And that essentially turns into a habit, and what does that do? That essentially, enhances and improves your immune system. All of these different habits and behaviors that we have some sort of end result. And the more healthy they become, the more efficient they become, the better we become as people. So I just kind of wanted to add my 2 cents to what you were saying. And I'm speaking from fucking experience. I'm speaking from being, having my entire life laid out for me when I was born because of my zip code. Living in an environment where the life expectancy rate was fucking 20. I'm 29, and I'm damn proud of that. And so I'm not coming from a place of trying to preach or some sort of fucking privilege. Fuck no, not even at all. I'm just coming from a place of self-awareness and realizing there is a higher power, and the higher power is us. It's me. And so I just want to encourage everyone to dig into that higher power. It doesn't matter if you're 80, if you're 60, if you're 17, it doesn't even matter, but it's in us, but we've been taught and brainwashed and filled up with so much shit that taps us away from who we really are and our ambition and who we could be in the world. And when we realize that, you can't save everybody, but what you can do is plant seeds into other people to help them embody their God self or their goddess selves. Because that's essentially what this road, this realm of life, and what this journey kind of is. Embodying your goddess self and your God self at all times. So yes, that does mean that you can't pop off on a nigga who just robbed you or shoot him. Yes, that means that you can't do this harmful thing, because we shouldn't want to see harm done to anybody that's black. Doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're trans, if you're old, or whatever. And so operating from a higher power means that you embody a certain type of consciousness where you do for you, and that you are responsible and accountable to you. And when you do better, it only helps us all. When you get the job and when you do the things that you want to do for yourself, it only essentially helps us all as people. It helps your children, it helps your neighbors, it helps the onlookers, it helps the people who you don't even know. But essentially just pushes us forward so we can actually have the generational wealth and ownership in the things that we're doing.
I come from my grandmother studying more science, and I broke away from it, and something clicked one day. I used to challenge the circles of empathy and breaking bottles of runs and all this stuff down. And I would get out in the streets and told to be well to all the fabrications of material. You know what I'm saying?
And I think it's easy to do because
It's
it's
easy.
right there.
It's right there. Everything has been set for us to concentrate on other than self. And one of the greatest things that I know, if you understand the totality of who you are and what you come from, and the existence of connection of power that relates in everything, there ain't nothing because we done already done this.
And we have so much power just sitting in this room right now, listening to each other and talking is just a small, tiny percentage of the amount of power that we have.
I used to like I always say, we use 3/4 of our brain. And anything that you tap over to that, they call you a whiz kid. That's what they label. Because you tap into a realm in your mind that society hasn't even touched yet. And they put these people certain places and raise them, and they can move things and not even touching it. You got children growing up, never having an understanding of the computer age, being told what to do and can sit right at it and figure it all out. And in the process that when I really sat back and everything was cleared out of the way and looked at, it wasn't nothing but like a straight path, and I said I was going everything that I put into the game, and they came and got me, I was gonna do it to help my people, to help us.
But how did you get to that point though? How did you get to that realization that, how did you reach that amount of clarity?
Like, I was using and almost walked off the subway, and the dude grabbed me, and I still don't know who the dude is to this day. You know what I'm saying? And I came upstairs, and like, that morning, I went in. And they didn't know. They was looking for me, and they like finally like swarms and trees. And as in there, everything that I went through, I was like, it wasn't nothing else to like satisfy me, but to try to do what was right because I had never done nothing right. You know what I'm saying? And from this process, and I tell guys this all the time, you can buy happiness, but joy only comes through the investing, you know, that you put in yourself, but give it to your creator to like literally guide you. Now I put my hands in it. Now it's a lot of stuff come up, and people say, y'all need to do this, y'all need to do that, and I say, I go back, contemplate, I may talk to Darius, I may talk to Al, and I like think about it, tell me what you think, but the whole time, I may pray and rest on it. And then like, bro, and then it might, all of us might say the same thing. And like, wow, that's crazy. That's what I was thinking. You know, and like, that's what we need to do. You know, and in that process, everything just pans out, and I watched like all of our lives get better. I watched all our lives like really heal, be in good spaces, and people would say like, I see pictures of y'all, and you could just see the energy off the pictures that y'all living well. You know, like before we even tell them like, whoa, this is what we doing, and this is what we came to, this is where we come from, and people be like, wow. You know, and a lot of times when I tell a story about where I was at using almost, they be like, wow, I didn't know you was using. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll look at me now, and I say, you seen me in 2015, I was like 100 pounds. You know what I mean? Trying to figure all this shit out, stressed out, worrying, like trying to worry about who to impress, who watches, who this, and then clearly like met face to face. You either choose to go your way and die, or you can choose to follow a path and continue and put the people that's going to help and guide you and watch the doors that